Buying property in Pune. What an incredible milestone. But let's be real, it's probably one of the biggest financial risks you'll ever take. So today, we're going to break down a really simple, super low-cost tool that acts as a powerful shield for your investment. It's called the Public Notice. Let's dive in. You know that feeling? It's so exciting, but honestly, it can also be terrifying. You're putting your life savings into this dream home, just hoping everything is exactly as it seems. But there's always that little nagging fear in the back of your mind, isn't there? And that fear is all about what secrets that property could be hiding. I mean, could there be some long-lost heir with a claim? Maybe some unpaid loans tied to it? Or what about a previous agreement to sell that nobody ever told you about? These are the kinds of hidden landmines that can turn your dream into an absolute legal nightmare. But what if I told you that a simple ad in a local newspaper could be your first line of defense? I know it sounds almost too simple to be true, but it is an absolutely essential tool for any smart buyer out there. Okay, so what exactly is this safeguard? It's called a public notice, and it's a fundamental step to make sure your purchase is secure. Let's break down exactly what it does. All right, at its core, a public notice is basically a declaration you, the buyer, make to the entire world. You publish an ad in the newspaper that says, "Hey everyone, I'm planning to buy this specific property," and it invites anyone, a person, a bank, you name it, to speak up if they have any rights, claim, or issue with it. And that right there is the most important part. You're calling for objections from the public at large. It's kind of like a formal way of saying, if anyone has a problem with this sale, speak now or forever hold your peace. It's that direct. A really good way to think about it is like a lost and found for legal problems. You're putting the word out there, giving any of those potential hidden claims a chance to be found before you finalize the deal. It's all about being proactive and uncovering issues early on. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, if this is so important, is it actually required by law? And that is a great question. The answer really gets to the heart of what due diligence is all about. So here's the key thing to understand. Publishing a public notice is not legally required. No one's going to fine you for skipping it. But is it a smart move? Oh, absolutely. Think of it like a vital health check for the property's title. It creates a public record showing you did your homework, which really strengthens your legal position as a genuine, well-intentioned buyer if some hidden claim tries to pop up years later. And it's especially recommended in a couple of situations, like if you have even the slightest doubt about the seller's ownership, or if the property has changed hands a bunch of times. A complicated history means more paperwork, and that means more chances for old disputes or claims to get lost in the shuffle. A public notice helps drag any of that stuff into the light. Okay, so let's say you're convinced. You want this extra layer of protection. What are the practical steps? Well, the good news is it's actually pretty straightforward. Your notice needs three main things. First, a super detailed description of the property. We're talking survey numbers, boundaries, the whole shebang, so there's zero confusion. Second, you have to name the current owners, the people you're buying from. And third, you need to set a clear deadline for any objections. Now, what happens if someone does raise an objection? Well, that's the notice doing its job. Your lawyer will immediately tell you to hit the brakes on the deal so you can investigate the claim. It catches a potential problem before it becomes your problem. So what's a reasonable deadline? While there's no law that sets the exact time, the common practice in Pune is to give somewhere between 7 and 15 days for people to respond. That's usually seen as enough time for the notice to get out there and for someone to act on it if they need to. And there are two more crucial things to remember. First, you have to publish the ad in a newspaper that people in that specific area actually read. Makes sense, right? And second, and this is really important, always get written permission from the sellers before you publish it. It's just good professional courtesy and solid legal practice. All right, we've covered the why and the how, but I know what you're probably thinking now. What's this extra layer of security going to set me back? It's a totally fair question. When you're already spending so much money, every little cost matters. So let's take a look at how this is actually calculated. The cost is actually surprisingly simple. Newspapers charge by the size of the ad, which they measure in square centimeters. So, for example, if a paper charges, say, 100 rupees per square centimeter, and your notice is about 120 square centimeters, the math is easy. It's going to cost you 12,000 rupees. It's a really transparent way of pricing. Of course, that price isn't set in stone. A major English newspaper with a huge circulation will cost more than a local Marathi paper. And naturally, the more you write in your notice, the bigger the ad gets and the higher the cost. But at least now you know the basic formula. So here's the bottom line. When you're talking about an investment worth lakhs or even crores of rupees, paying a few thousand for this notice is a tiny price for the huge amount of security and confidence it buys you. It's a small investment in making sure you get a clean, undisputed title. And that really leaves us with one final thought. Your home is one of the biggest purchases you'll ever make. Now that you know a simple, affordable check like a public notice exists, the real question is, what other crucial steps might you be skipping? Don't skimp on the due diligence. It's the foundation of a secure future in your new home.